Hey everyone, and welcome to my Falcon and Winter Soldier Season 1, Episodes 1 and 2 reviews. I didn't do a review of Episode 1 last week simply because there wasn't really too much to talk about, and I thought if I do it in 2 episodes in one review, it would make the review longer and I'd have more to talk about in one episode. Otherwise, I'd be doing a really short review, if you get what I mean. So I'm going to do episode 1 first, then do episode 2. Because currently, when I'm filming this section of the video, the episode 1 section, episode 2 isn't out yet. But then, once episode 2 comes out, I'm going to come back, record episode 2 section of this review, and then upload it. But yeah, episode 1. It caught me off guard. I certainly wasn't expecting the episode that we got. For sure, it was very different in terms of tone and style to what I was expecting. And I think the biggest thing for me that shocked me the most was the fact that Bucky and Sam didn't meet in the entire episode. They didn't have a scene together, which I was like, whoa, okay, that just happened. But overall, I thought the premiere was fantastic. It was really, really strong. I really loved the tone of the episode, just how real it felt compared to other things in the MCU. Like, WandaVision was this weird sitcom crazy thing that was happening, and now we come to this very real, very down-to-earth show, and the contrast is different between the two massively, but I loved that really down-to-earth, grounded style of this episode, and how it explored Bucky's mentality and Falcon's mentality, and how it explored money problems and how do superheroes pay for things, because that was always a question in comic books and things, how do these superheroes get by? And now this episode delved into that, which I was really shocked that it did, and it delved into the superhero mentality as well, how messed up Bucky is in the head. It was really interesting, and that's what I really loved about this premiere. Was it was a very character focused, down to earth, with little action. But of course, there was that amazing opening action sequence at the beginning of the episode in the Grand Canyon, or the canyon area. I don't know if it was the Grand Canyon, but with the helicopter sequence and Falcon flying, that was a fantastic cinematic action sequence. I was blown away by how good that looked. And like I said, these streaming services have really changed the scope of TV these days. What you can do on TV now is you can make a movie. It's insane. But my favourite part of the episode was definitely Bucky Barnes, and that scene with the Winter Soldier I wasn't expecting at all. And, all the people he's killed, as in Civil War, he said, I remember everyone, and we see that he does remember everyone, and he's trying to make amends by being kind to the guy's father that he murdered years ago. It's just really, really well written episode, and I really love this premiere. And I'm really looking forward to exploring more of Bucky's trauma and what's actually going on in his head, because he hasn't been the focus too much in the MCU, so I'm really looking forward to him really getting the spotlight and us learning much more about Bucky. That's going to be fantastic when that comes up. It was nice to learn a lot about Sam Wilson as well, what he's going through after the events of Endgame and how he is very hesitant to take up the mantle of Captain America. I loved how it explored that a little bit, how he wants to still be Falcon and the legacy of Captain America is too great and he doesn't think that he can live up to it. I'm really looking forward to seeing how they're going to explore that in future episodes, because I think the setup was really well done in this episode for Falcon's story. And I love learning more about his family and his past, how he used to live on a boat. I thought that was really interesting. I love meeting his sister and his nephews, and it's set up a really, really character-driven show, which I just wasn't expecting. And the tone, like I said, is very different from really anything else in the MCU. What I would equate it to is most similar to Winter Soldier or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It really does feel like one of those two things. It was very nice to see Don Cheadle pop up as James Rhodes' War Machine again. Obviously, he didn't wear the War Machine armor. I don't know if he's going to come back later on in the series, but I enjoyed his cameo in episode 1, and it really does add gravity to the situation of those we've lost in Endgame. Lastly, I want to talk about the Flag Smashers, who are the villains of the show, alongside Baron Zemo when he comes back. He'll probably inevitably take over the Flag Smashers, I reckon. But they were interesting. They didn't really do anything in the episode too much. Sorry, there's a dog barking outside, and it's quite loud, and I know this can pick it up. But yeah, there wasn't anything really interesting with these guys in the episode. We were just introduced to them, and it was kind of like, okay, whatever. But hopefully they're interesting in further episodes. Like I said, episode 2 is going to be in this review later on, so we'll see if they do anything in episode 2. Overall, I thought episode 1 was a really, really strong premiere for the show. I love the tone, I love the style, and I love the character focus that this show is going for. And I can't wait to explore more of Bucky and Sam and can't wait for future episodes of the show. So honestly, the score I'm going to give this episode, it will be an 8.5 out of 10. I loved it. It just blew me away. And that opening action sequence was the best TV action sequence I've ever seen. It was just beautiful. But yeah, Falcon and Winter Soldier is off to a fantastic start, and I cannot wait to see where this show is going to go. So I just literally got done with episode 2, and again, a really solid episode, a really character-driven episode. The tone was very different though this episode. It felt much more like a Marvel movie because there was a lot of humor to it. And I think what I really loved about this episode was the buddy cop situation between Sam and Bucky, because they together from literally the start of the episode, and it's just so fun watching them together because they're friends but they also hate each other, which is a really weird and fun dynamic. But yeah, let's break down the episode. If I was to sum up the theme of this episode, it would be the legacy of Captain America. That plays heavily into this episode. And Bucky has a big problem with Sam giving up the shield and it falling into the hands of a US agent, John Walker. And that dynamic in the episode of Bucky being really angry at Sam and Sam dealing with giving up the shield and, what's happened. It's really interesting and really well written. And it leads to a really fun dynamic between the two where they team up and yet they hate each other and they're constantly bickering and arguing and having staring contests. And it leads to the therapy session that we saw in a trailer, which we get the whole scene of that obviously in the episode. And that was a really fun scene of them just trying to come to terms with each other, trying to be friends, trying to work out each other's problems. And then it all boils down to the fact that Sam gave up the shield. And Bucky feels that he should not have given it up because Captain America chose him, and Captain America thought of Sam in a certain way, and because Bucky's been through so much and done so much bad, Bucky's belief in himself came from the fact that Captain America believed in him. And if Sam doesn't believe in himself that Captain America did, then Bucky can't believe in himself. So that was a really interesting dynamic. The fact that Captain America chose Sam, but maybe he was wrong about Sam, so was he wrong about Bucky? Similar to the first episode, it was very light on action. There was only one big action sequence, and that was on the lorries in Germany, on the top of the lorries. That was a really fun and great action sequence. Once again, this show is so cinematic in terms of its quality when it does its action sequences. But unexpectedly, US Agent was involved in that fight. The new Captain America, John Walker, which obviously wasn't in any trailers that he was going to be there. So that was a cool surprise seeing Bucky, Sam, and US Agent all fight the Flag Smashers together. And speaking of John Walker, US Agent, we got loads of him in this episode. And I didn't expect to like him as much as I did. I thought, oh, he's just going to be some asshole who's taken up the Captain America mantle. But we get a side of him that I wasn't expecting, a vulnerable side at the very beginning of the episode, a side of him that's questioning whether he's worthy to live up to the mantle of Captain America. And that really surprised me, and I thought, wow, well done for them for going and making this guy a character rather than just some random person who's a bit of a dickhead and takes away the mantle from Sam. Though I did find it quite funny how he kept popping up in the episode, being like, hi Sam, hi Bucky, please be my friend, and they just kept telling to piss off. That was really fun. But I'm really looking forward to seeing more of the dynamic between all three of them because I really enjoyed it this episode. And as I said, I really like US Agent, so I'm looking forward to seeing more of him. And I'm really looking forward to seeing more of the dynamic between Sam and Bucky going forward because I thought it was fantastic, this episode. So well written. It was also cool to see another US government super soldier this episode that Bucky had an encounter with, I think he said in 1951. I can't remember the guy's name, but I just thought that was really interesting, the fact that the US government did constantly try to create super soldiers. Let's also give a moment of silence for Red Wing, who we lost in this episode. R.I.P. Red Wing. We got to see some more of the Flag Smashers again. They weren't particularly too interesting again, but we did learn quite a bit about them, that they're revolutionaries who were trying to turn the world back to what it was like during the blip, or the snap, in that 5-year gap between Thanos snapping and Hulk snapping. So, yeah, they're not too interesting. They're just a bunch of terrorist revolutionaries, but they're super soldiers, which I don't know how they became super soldiers, so that's going to be very interesting to find out, hopefully. And in a way, they kind of remind me of the Watchdogs from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 3. The ones who were targeting Inhumans. I don't know, I just kind of got Watchdog vibes off of the Flag Smashers. But not too interesting, but I guess we have to see where they're going to go, really. And lastly, we got Baron Zemo at the very end of the episode. He didn't do anything rather than sit there, but we know he's going to be in next episode, so I'm really looking forward to seeing him again. So yeah, episode 2 was also very strong, like episode 1. I think episode 1 was a bit better because I think the less focus on humor in the episode worked a bit better. But again, this episode was really great. I love the buddy cop element. I love the relationship between Sam and Bucky. I really like US Agent, and I'm intrigued to see what the Flag Smashers are going to do. And I can't wait for the return of Baron Zemo. So yeah, this episode I give a 7.5 out of 10. Definitely a really strong episode. So thank you for watching this review, or 2 reviews really, because it was episode 1 and 2. I will try and do a longer review for episode 3. I just wanted to do episode 1 and 2 in one video and make it short. So yeah, thank you for watching. Be sure to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you later.